All right. Hello. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. It's Monday, January 15th. This is the Image Builder office hours meeting that we have every 2 weeks, although we haven't had one in almost a month and a half, almost 2 months, just because holidays. We had low attendance and no topics to talk about. But now we do today. Mohammed's here to talk about the Forge proposal. Before we jump into that, does anybody have any random or non-random things to bring up? Anything? All right. Let's just jump right into it then. Mohammed, you want to give us a summary or we want to do this?
I think you can just go to the proposal.
Sure.
There's the link there in the document. Yes.
I have it open.
Yes. Yeah, first of all, I'd like to introduce myself because I'm new in the image builder. This is my first time joining the image builder, office hours. Yeah. So yeah, I'm actually platform engineer for cloud company in Germany called Ionos. And, recently we have been working on two Class API projects. So yeah, we have been involved in, adding Class API providers for something called Proxmox and or for also our cloud, because, our cloud is basically provisioned and built via the Proxmox, supporting infrastructure. Yeah, that's been so. Recently, I have been working on providers and doing, image building, because it's a kind of on-premises data centers, and I have been also involved in image builder and adding some support for providers and internally in our team also to provide pipelines, and and also I wrote a small Packer plugin for our cloud, which I was a bit frustrated about that, and Packer has has restricted everything actually. So I was a bit frustrated and concerned about that, and the future of the community and stuff like that. But never mind. Yeah, so this idea comes to my mind when I started developing the Packer plugin and how we can, improve the image building pipelines, image building automation, part of the cluster API, and also many others, cases and so on. So this idea comes to my mind is we have similar to cluster API, but for image automating image builds. So which means we will have a kind of Kubernetes operators that automates the image building. Yeah. So actually, this is kind of what I wrote here. This is just a draft design proposal. I have been talking with many folks in the community, especially the SSL leads and Capic maintainers, and yeah, we have discussed a little bit. So they mentioned that we need to discuss this further and gather informations, gather feedbacks. Yeah, so the whole idea is actually a project similar to Cluster API, but for image building. And so it will has the core component that's manage the root CR, and also the provisioning of providers, and maybe we have also infrastructure providers similar to Capi, and we also have provisioners provider, and those provisioners is actually meant to provision something into the infrastructure machine or the set of machine, basically. Yeah. So let's basically move to the first part in the why. So maybe I can give a little bit of information. No, in the top. Yeah. So here here. So here I actually wrote down some differences between cluster API and between the image builder. Actually, I'm not here to criticize image builder or something, but just to the idea is to improve and move the image building to the next generation and modern way. And yeah, and also the SSL leads has have some good feedback regarding they like the idea, but there is a lot of questions. There's a lot of, I don't know how to say, but yeah. So I also wrote down some benefits for this operator based between it and Packer. So the most interesting thing is the open source, and it's managed by the Kubernetes community as a sub project, and also have recently last week I added also differences between Linux Git, which I found that we have input validations, we have continuous reconciliations, and you don't need to install third-party softwares on your machine and stuff like that. And here it's a pluggable architecture, which means we can add more infrastructure providers or provisioners as we want. Yeah, so after that we have the disadvantages of the it's not actually image builder, but it's regarding Packer actually. Yeah. So but it's part of it. It's part of it is part of image builder, because image builder is relying on Packer and stuff. So we have actually to install stuff in our machines or in our CI systems, and we need sometimes when common errors, or I don't know how to say, like some issue that happens so often, like I don't know, network issues or something, then we need to do manual interventions and rerun stuff. But in our continuous reconciliation, that will be covered, and we don't need to do any manual interventions. That's just to watch the controller does the control loops. Yeah. After that, we don't have like something like cleanup mechanism for the images. And Packer is not in the source. I actually also has a bit some issue before this meeting, because of Packer version being 10.1.10, I guess. And yeah, and also here I see parent templating here. I mean, by like kind of having bases in similar to what we can do with customize or Helm, and we have also role-based access control not supported in this kind. Yeah, so the goal here is we want to manage image builds with custom custom resource definitions. We can enable GitOps deployment for this CRs. We can have the airbag. We have better community, more visibility, and also improve user experience. We have also we can maintain a history of builds, and the nice thing here also, we can pause and resume a build. Let's say we have some kind of, I don't know, issue or something in our clouds, and we can pause the build, and then we can resume it later. And we can also build templates with Helm, customize. and we can also delete the image. We can, I mean, by that, maybe we can do implement a cleanup mechanism after, I don't know, some period or something. And yeah, I also think about the migration plans from Packer templates and Ansible playbooks into those manifests. So I came up with a CLI that can essentially convert Ansible playbooks into Ansible CRs, or Packer templates into a build CR for any given infrastructure provider. So that's some of the goals. Now we can move actually to the architecture. I think architecture we don't have. I mean, I don't have too much to mention. It's similar to cluster API. So we have a core component, and we have infrastructure providers, and those yes, they are responsible for providing the infrastructure machines, and then they are also responsible for converting or providing this disk into an image and stuff like that. And finally, we have the provisioners, which is provisioners here is something like a shell script or an Ansible playbook, which we can actually execute once the machine is ready or the set of machines is ready. So the idea here is maybe we also need to build images in a set of regions or something like that. So I think we can do that in the build CRs. Yeah, and that's about the architecture. I think after this is similar to Capi basically, and yeah, the idea here is that the core build, the build CR, the root CR has a connector spec, and this connector is it says an SSH spec. So the idea is, like, the infrastructure provider, once the machine is ready, it can set the SSH credentials secret. So it should create a secret and pass it to the build CR, to the root CR, and then when that is set, so now the core component can try to access this machine. And if it's accessed, then it will set it as infrastructure ready. And then that's when the provisioners come in, and then they can actually, execute stuff, maybe execute the Ansible provisioner, Ansible playbook, and stuff like that. So after provisioners are being succeed, then we can actually set the provisioners ready in the status, which means now the build CR can set it in the status. So the infrastructure provider is now able to convert this disk into an image, into a, I don't know, a template or something like that. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, this is how this which I think it should work, something like that. And yes, yeah, I think also later, finally, we have how to install these providers and configurations, which I think should be similar to Capi, and the CLI that is enabled to do stuff like init or describe. We can also maybe have regarding the question regarding the versions and variables and stuff. I think we can use something similar to cluster templates. We can have building templates, and we can generate build. but also essentially we should have the convert playbook, convert packer. Those can help in migration into this build CRs, and I think it will make people more, more eager to because it make it easier for migrations. I think that's what I have. I think now we need to gather more information. We need to have more discussions, especially in the image builder, because the SSL lead said that this can be essentially an image builder evolution, whether it's the rebranding is approved or not, and something like that. They told me you have to go to the image builder, community and discuss with them and something like that. And I think I'm looking if we can, if we can gather more information and whether we move this proposal into action. And I would like to get a slot in the upcoming, contributor summit. So maybe we can have more, contributors and stuff like that. I guess that's it from my side. So if you have any questions, I'm ready to get.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's a very good summary, I think. Marcus, you were first.
Yep. Couple things. Contribute Summit, great idea. I think that's the perfect place to discuss this. I think CFP is open for it already, so you might be able to actually get that submitted in now. So I think that'd be a good idea. I've already shared a few of my comments and stuff on Slack. The only one that I kind of want to echo here is I think this needs some kind of package manager-esque, package manager is probably the wrong word, but some kind of distributable, pre-built pipelines for this to be actually the next generation of image builder. Because like the benefit of image builder is if you want to build Kubernetes, blah, 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 for Flatcar, you run a make file, a make task, and the pipeline is already defined for you and has been tested previously that it works with those configurations. With this approach, like we don't want to have every end user having to rewrite the build file, the build CR with the provision steps every single time. So having some way of being able to share those, package those, and make them available, to all users, I think would be key for making.
I understand. You mean the built-in templates for they can, and that's why I have this CLI to convert. So I mean, after this first version of this, we can have plans for having support. So we build built-in manifest for each provider basically, and then the users can actually go and apply. I think it's more easier, more just apply some resources, install the components and just apply resources. I think it will be more easier for them instead of because actually in my team I have a lot of questions regarding how we can build images, because we have a lot of environments, so they are already, especially in the air gapped environment. It's a bit tricky. So how to build these images in a CI pipeline, and how to use image builder in that case, and which runners we are gonna use, and especially in private environment and, as I said, in air-gapped environments. So yeah, I think now it will make a bit sense just to install stuff in a Kubernetes cluster or in a kind cluster running in that, in a VM, and then just apply manifest, and then yeah, we wait until the build is done.
Cool.
Thank you.
Drew, you want to go next?
Sure, thanks. So firstly, I will say I love the idea of this because, as it's no surprise to Marcus and Matt, I am someone who has already written a Go binary that wraps around Image Builder anyway to allow me, let's say, my opinion, easier CI/CD kind of process of building images. The only question I have, so that, like with the process I've got at the moment, I can run that in a CI/CD pipeline at the moment, but I can also run it locally on my machine and fire something off to just, go and build an image which can. So context, let's give context here. So we run in OpenStack at the moment. I can just run a command, spins an instance up in OpenStack, builds the image, shuts the instance down, and obviously uploads the image to OpenStack. Now, the thing I see with this is you're going to need a cluster already to be able to build your first image. So are you envisioning people maybe spin something up in kind first to maybe build an image that they might want to use then in Cappy? Or are you thinking
Yes.
there's something that can be done locally as well? Or is it all just going to be in cluster and that's kind of it? Like, would the CLI support a local build, for example, I guess, is what I'm asking.
I think that's yeah. The prerequisite is to have a cluster somewhere.
Okay.
Or
No, that's fine.
Or
that's
maybe
fine.
you can use kind, because maybe K3S or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's I think nowadays it's very handy. Just one command line or whatever. It's
Yeah.
you can have a cluster. I think also it's similar to what Cappy is, right?
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. It's that chicken and egg thing, isn't it? Like with Cappy, we do it in a way, like our first cluster, if you like, will get spun up in, we'll use kind to spin up a cluster in OpenStack with Cappy and then migrate those resources over to that cluster to allow it to self-manage. That's one of the scenarios we might use. So I'm thinking this is going to be a similar thing where maybe the first image, as it were, that you'd build would be done in somewhere like Kind or K3S or wherever it might be. And then from that point onwards, you'd run a cluster elsewhere, a Cappy cluster that you could then build in on CI/CD. So you're not envisioning a way of just having a CLI where I can just do an image build directly. It's got to rely on a cluster, I guess, is what I'm clarifying there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fine. Cool. It's just something that came to mind, but that's all my question was.
Well, I'll go next if I can figure out how to lower my hand. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, I think this is great. Overall, what resonates with me is the idea that we could, well, two things. It would be nice not to use Packer, obviously, mostly because of the licensing. The tool works and we're all used to it. But and at this point, we probably, if we kick and scream, we can continue to use Packer even with the new license. It sounds like that's not necessarily a deal breaker, but none of us are excited about it. So it'd be great to be using our own tooling rather than a HashiCorp at this point. And hopefully, if we do this right, and if Forge gets interest, we can, reinvigorate the community. Right now, I think we're doing okay with Image Builder. We're doing better than maybe a year ago when things had kind of when there wasn't enough maintenance going on. But nonetheless, it's nice to see 5 people here at the meeting today. It would be nice to see a lot more people involved because I know everybody's using the images. So if Forge is a way to get the community more involved with the whole process of building images, I think that would be awesome. Because we've had modest success at getting Image Builder reinvigorated, but it could be better. The overall thing that strikes me though is essentially we're talking about replacing Packer. The architecture is relatively similar with provisioners and cloud provider provisioners or whatever we're calling them. That just sounds like a lot of work to me, and I'm a little, I worry that, you know, oh, there's a lot of energy and we can get people recruited and we could start working on it, but we might run out of steam before we actually implement all the cloud providers or something like that is sometimes how projects like this work. Whereas Packer's had time on its side and it supports obviously everything we need and then some. And there's communities around supporting all those. So I'm just worried that this is overall a very big ask. The other thing that I thought of is to get the continuous reconciliation loop going, you kind of also have to have, I think you have to have sort of the pipeline version going, like fire off that task again. So I don't know why we wouldn't, maybe that's a baby step is, oh, we've re-implemented Packer in a declarative way and it's a command line and you can run that once. And then the next step is putting CRDs around that. Essentially it's something like what Drew has done. And I don't know, maybe that's not necessary to go in a deliberate step like that, but I'm curious what you think, Mohammed. That
Yeah,
makes sense?
sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, regarding the work, that's a good point. Yeah, actually, the way that it's similar to Copy, I don't know, maybe we can reuse some codes from Copy and actually what I think is need to build some helpers for people to, you know, help them build their infrastructure providers essentially. But regarding provisioners, I guess an Ansible provisioner is just, you know, an Ansible operator. Actually, it's just a CR that takes, you know, is, you know, an Ansible manifest, an Ansible playbook, and execute it in, you know, a machine or a set of machines, and that's it. But I know it's a lot of work, but yeah.
Yeah. The one other thing I thought of is, and maybe this is part of the design, but one of the nice things about Image Builder right now is that we started with the common set of Ansible tasks, and it's grown a lot from there, and it's kind of spaghetti, but overall, almost all images get built through a core set of Ansible tasks. And that ensures that the images that the cluster API community is using in general are pretty similar. Maybe they would be anyway. But so I would hope that in Forge, there could also be some sort of inheritance approach, like, okay, here's the Ansible scripts that do the basic stuff. And then all you need to do is add a couple more tasks to get it set for, I guess I wouldn't like to see where everybody wrote their own set of Ansible tasks that are doing the same thing. That's all, I'd worry about that, but maybe that's not a danger here.
Yeah. So the idea is not to replace image builder. The idea is to having like a V2 image builder, right? Whether it's you know, it's going to be rebranded into Forge or not, but we should still have the image builder V1 because, you know, people that still have to be worried about moving towards this at the first point, right?
Yeah.
But it makes sense. However, what's the point? Yeah, regarding the, what is it? I just forgot.
Just
Yeah, the
hoping that,
Ansible playbooks.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether our current Ansible playbooks, they are templated. I don't know if whether we can, I don't know, have convert them into manifest. I mean, we just, but I mean, manifest is, you know, in Copy we have the kubedm config. It's just you know, cloud init or something. So yeah, I mean something like that. Like it's a manifest, and then the Ansible playbooks that we have in Image Builder can be you know, converted right into this manifest.
Yeah. It's just a high level point about, you know, we should, ideally everybody shares as much code as possible. And by code, I mean, you know, manifest template or something like that. But I don't know if that really, and the other point was we should keep calling it Forge or something like that because Image Builder is already an internal Azure service. And so every time I talk about it, image builder, people are like, which one do you mean? I'm like, forget it. So let's call it Forge. So,
Whenever I talk about it, people think I'm talking about container images.
right. It's a confusing name. It's not a
Yeah.
not great marketing.
Yeah.
Even though it says exactly what it does, it overlaps with other things. So yeah, sorry. All right, go ahead, Drew.
Okay, yeah. So just kind of, you got me thinking then with your comment about how the Ansible stuff will work then, Matt, which is for example, load additional components is something that come to mind. So obviously that allows us to plug in to the standard Ansible bits, let's say. So for example, we might want to add container images to a build, or in my case, I might want to add NVIDIA drivers or something like that. Have you got a thought about how we would add those plugins in? So rather than putting it into the standard Ansible provisioner, which I imagine would just run the standard tasks, if you like, that we do now, can you think of a way that maybe we'd have an add-in? Would you think maybe another CRD that can be added into it, or anything like that? I'm not sure how we would approach that as it stands.
I'm not sure what's the question. Can you explain?
So we have a kind of standard build for image builder at the moment, where if you just run image builder as it is, you'll get an image at the end with some pretty good defaults and pretty standard stuff just ready to run, in Cappy. I've added a role in there, for example, which allows me to optionally add the NVIDIA driver in. And then there's obviously there's another role in there, which is load additional components, which allows you to add some container images into the build so that they're already in there. Can you think of how we would approach that in Forge? Like adding extra things in that someone might need.
Yes. That's exactly. So after this project is having a first version, then we can move forward to the next thing, which is building built-in templates, built-in manifest for people to use, or So I think what I can suggest is having some customized bases,
Okay.
for Ansible, or maybe also for the build TRs. So kind of different bases. So we have the root base. They have maybe you want to install more stuff, then you can add more bases into that, or also with customize, you can also customize stuff. Maybe, I don't know, the repositories, artifacts repositories, or whatever. So I think it will be much easier than now, right?
Yeah, no, that's fair. Because at the moment we're just throwing it into the Ansible. We were talking a few goals back about how we might do a community add-on section for Ansible to separate that extra stuff out, if you like. But I'm just thinking about how that might work here. So,
yeah. The only thing here in converting and building, customized bases is just the convert. It will generate the whole manifest, and the composition of the bases and turning it into customize. I think it will just take a bit of time, but then when it's built, I think that's it. We don't need to change it very often, and so on.
Yeah. Okay.
And the nice thing when we have customized, also we can add it into Flux or Argo CD, and just it will be reconciled.
I wanted to make sure, Mateusz, if you had anything to say, I just want to make sure we weren't skipping over you.
Hi, I'm Matt. I just jumped in the middle of the meeting. Recently I've been interested in SIG Windows, and I've been looking around and trying to solve my own problems with the tooling around SIG Windows. And Image Builder is one of the tooling that I found is related, and this Forge project got me interested. And my first question would be, would it make easier, or is there any plan to make it easier to build Windows images without Ansible? maybe perhaps that's I have to. So what I'm doing, I'm creating ephemeral development oriented clusters on premise locally on bare metal, and what I'm doing now, I'm trying to use vanilla Microsoft VHDs with Windows servers and bootstrap it as a cluster node, because those Windows images become often obsolete, or they just run, get out of date easily, or there are no images for Hyper-V, for example. So I was just kind of hoping, maybe it's completely off topic what I'm talking now, but I was hoping the Forge project could perhaps have a plan to touch on making it easier to build Windows images for Hyper-V as native technology on Windows. Sorry if this becomes kind of, I'm making a long shot outside the scope of the meeting, but yeah, just it's new to me. Sorry.
Yes. I think regarding Windows, I don't have too much information regarding Windows machines though, but what I think is, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of information we need to gather, especially in something cases like this, like Windows, or maybe also KMU images, and how we can implement it very efficiently, maybe more efficient than Packer and stuff. But also, is there any, I don't know, a tool like Ansible for Windows? If it's there, I think they can also build a provisioner for that, and because it's a pluggable architecture, it will be more easier to add support for various stuff actually. So yeah, that's the whole benefit, I guess.
I don't think there is a replacement for Ansible, like Windows dedicated replacement. What I found that what's easiest for me to use on Windows host is Packer, and I run Packer builders, and the images get built on Azure. So that's kind of the smoothest thing to me for now. Anyway, yeah, thanks for the answer. I'll watch the space, watch the project, and see if I can contribute or benefit from it. And yeah, anyway.
It's a good question. I thought of that while I was reading this, because I work at Microsoft, and so we build Windows images all the time, and it is, I guess Ansible is the tool still for Windows and other platforms, but so I'm curious what specific problems you're having with that, Matt. I just find that you can run the make targets in Image Builder, but they're a lot flakier than they are for Linux builds. But overall, it still works. So I would imagine in Forge, we would still be leaning on Ansible to do all the Windows support, unless there is some other Windows-specific tool for provisioning that we would want to use. So I would guess that the Forge world would look relatively similar to the way we build Windows images right now, unless we have another tool to make a provisioner. So maybe that doesn't help, Matt, or maybe I'm wrong.
Makefile is one obstacle. It's a trivial thing, but
right.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's so that, for example, for SIG Windows dev tools, like a few months ago, I rewrote the makefiles to Magefiles because I found that Magefiles can run on Windows smoothly. But Ansible itself, I think it's not really working on Windows. I may be wrong. I don't know. I mean, I just read something that this runs on Linux only. Ansible.
No, it definitely supports. Well, so when it connects to Windows, by default, it doesn't use SSH. It wants to use WinRDP or whatever the other protocol is, but it's kind of
WinRM.
What's that?
WinRM, I guess.
Yes, that's right, WinRM. Which in the past used to be flakier. Now it seems to work fine. So it does support Windows, but we have a specific problem in our repo we haven't been able to figure out, where we installed the Azure CLI on some builds, and then later we use this tool called Gauss to test the images, and it says, hey, I didn't find Azure CLI, and we can never figure out why. And then you just rerun the build and it works. So that's pretty lame. But overall, Ansible works on Windows fine. We just have a bug we haven't been able to track down.
Okay, I'll try to do my homework and learn about it. Yeah, but the make file is a bit yeah, is a tiny hurdle.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Just for my clarity, the make file, do you mean the make file in Image Builder is a problem?
I think so. In general, you know, there is no good make tool for Windows.
So
right?
what I'd suggest, and the way that I always run Image Builder, is I always run it as a container image. So we build container images for Image Builder for every release, which has all the tooling built in that you need to be able to run make and packer, etc., etc. So if you're able to run Docker, for example, as long as you mount in the appropriate variables files or environment variables that need setting or whatever, you should be able to run it that way without any environment binary related issues, if that helps.
It should.
Yeah.
I just didn't think of this idea. I have to kind of. I'd like to make a note that I've been involved in Kubernetes for a year now, so I'm still learning this, and I jumped straight away to setting up my own clusters with Windows. So
a little advanced activity. Yeah, most people ignore Windows completely. Yeah, like Marcus said, I've been doing Kubernetes for, I don't know, 8 years, and I'm still learning everything. It's too much to know.
Yeah, it never stops.
Cool. Do we have any other feedback or questions about Forge or anything else you want to bring up?
Nothing springs to mind for me at the moment. No. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions as we go through the project anyway, because it's going to be one of those things that's going to be iterative, isn't it? So yeah, but it does sound exciting though. It does sound really good.
Yeah.
So I do have one more question.
Go for it.
While I think about it, Mohammed, is it just you running forward with this at the moment? You just trying to push this, or have you got other people like at your work or something that's also helping you try and get this off the ground? Like, are you on your own currently, or are you looking for like help pushing this side of thing?
In my team, I think they don't know much about this, but I guess when this will be, if it's approved, then this will be gonna be as a sub project, then I will share with them and try to converse with them. They can help us to build it and stuff like that. But I think I had some good feedbacks from some folks in the Kubernetes community, and they wanted to kind of gather more informations. And I just have thoughts regarding from the SSL list regarding the fragmentation and stuff, and and I totally agree because they said like when a new project, then you have more contributors at first, and they leave, and you should have maintained this project and so on, and that sort of things. But
So what are the next steps here? Do you have any milestones or things you're trying to accomplish, Mohammed, or stuff that we could pitch in on?
I'm not sure. I'm still gathering information. I'm actually, I want to get your feedback and thoughts. Maybe if you are interested in this, and are you also going to contribute in this project as well? and then I will go back to the SSL leads and maybe also cluster copy, contributors. Maybe I can have a presentation also this Wednesday, and still try to gather information. And then when we have information that we are interested in this, and we are looking to build this, then I can have a slot in the contributor summit and implement this actually. Yeah, that's what I think. And also I will try to communicate with my company if they kind of support this as well.
Yeah, sounds good.
Just in case you weren't aware, the CFP for the Contributor Summit closes on the 4th of February. So if you do want to get something
Yes. Yeah, but I just need to get to get feedback from the SSL leads first, right?
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that you didn't miss it, because I'd love to discuss it while there.
Yes, me too. But I don't know if the image builder community is looking. I don't know. I mean, we have 2 points actually. Do you approve like this as an image builder v2? Do you approve the rebranding of name and stuff like that, so that I can and also we can also have some open questions, so that I can go back to them. I think Tuesday or tomorrow, or I don't know, the office hours, and have to ask discuss with them actually.
So I've got no objections, especially as there's nothing stopping both projects running side by side anyway. There's nothing that Forge introduced that would mean Image Builder could no longer continue if needed. So if people do need that different way of working with image building, totally fine. That's not a problem. As has been echoed in this call, I'm excited to see changes and improvements in this area, because we are all had issues with Packer at one point or another, and the spaghetti codes that Matt mentioned earlier and stuff. So I think we are in favor of seeing what this could become. I don't know if the others on the call would like to add their thoughts as well.
Yes, I would agree with that broadly. The only thing you mentioned, Mohammed, that worries me slightly is if we start calling it Image Builder version 2 right away, then everybody's going to go look over there, and whatever energy we still have here in Image Builder is going to immediately disappear, because I would like, oh, there's a version 2. I'm going to stop looking at version 1 altogether. So we might want to delay. Not that it couldn't eventually be Image Builder v2, although, like I said before, I don't think it's the best name. But maybe initially we avoid that, just because I think it would cause more confusion, and perhaps send a message to everyone, hey, don't bother with Image Builder, it's going to go away, which isn't yet the case, maybe never.
Yes, correct.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's an alternative, in my opinion, rather than a direct replacement at this point in time.
Right.
And that's fine. That's not a negative in any respect.
Once it's reached a point of like for like, I suppose you could look at potentially deprecating Image Builder as it stands and move into Forge. But yeah. For now, I agreed. Just use it as a side-by-side.
So I think effectively, for better or worse, we constitute the Image Builder community at this point. So that's a thumbs up from us with whatever you want to tell the SCL leads.
No, I think Image Builder will be it could not be deprecated, because there's a bunch of people still using those pipelines. I think if they want to move, they will. That will take a bit of time, because You know, all people are concerned about if it runs, then don't touch. But yeah, I think it will take some time for people to move. But if we have the nice thing in our case, if we have the built-in manifest, then that's very beneficial for them, I think. And then I think they will try it anyway, and something like that.
Great. Anything else people want to say about the Forge proposal? Should we move on to our other topic?
So the question of
Yeah.
don't get it. The naming is okay, right? Because you think that it can coexist with image builder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
I think that's fine.
Right.
And I'm still amazed that Forge isn't already a project within the CNCF and Kubernetes space. I was so shocked about that. I was sure there was going to be something obscure, like somewhere deep in the CNCF landscape. But yeah, I think it's a really good name, and it fits really well for what you're doing.
I think we created, I was going to find it anyway. We created another project called Forge that actually that never made it to CNCF, but we tried. So there was one.
Yes, I also talked with some folks from the community, and they because first of all, I guess in the first part I was actually maybe to give it as a CNCF project, but the problem here that some folks have suggested me that this will take much more efforts, much more time to so they suggested as a sub-project in Kubernetes.
I think that makes sense as well, especially as you're trying to build it similar to how Cluster API is as well, which is a sub-project within Kubernetes. So I think that's a sensible approach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, well, we are almost out of time if we're going to stick to our schedule. So Marcus, you want to talk about new release?
Yeah, just very quickly. I had a little look when we started the call. We've got about 40 commits, 43 commits since the last release. Maybe it's just time we get a new one out. We hadn't done one since I think it was November time, maybe early December. So
yeah, actually back here when we updated Container D, I meant to do a release and didn't. So yeah, I think we're over.
Cool.
Do you want to do that, or I have bandwidth if you're busy today, or
if you could, because it's end of day for me now. So if
oh
you
yeah,
could
yeah,
take over,
I
that'd
forget
be
about.
great.
Yeah, I'll fire one up.
Yeah, time zones.
That's right. Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Ping me if you need the PRs approved and stuff. I'll be able to get those on my phone. So
Sounds good. It's pretty straightforward, so shouldn't take too long.
yeah.
Cool. Anything else? Anybody wants to contribute? All right. I guess we'll call it good. I'll post this recording on YouTube and link to it here, and then see everybody hopefully in a couple weeks.
Yep. Thank you very much, Mohammed, for the presentation.
Indeed,
Very
yes,
good.
thank you. Pleasure as always. Take care, everyone. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. See you.